I was a little late yesterday to do videos on the recent boxing news that David Benavidez is moving up to light heavyweight to challenge Alexander Vodcek for the WBC mandatory position. But now Eddy Reynoso has spoken to the media and hit back at the claims that his man is ducking David Benavidez. He says in this part of the Boxing Scene article, "I find it in very bad taste that they say that Canelo is afraid of him. I don't know how they dare to classify a fighter as fearful who did not hesitate to face Floyd Mayweather, who faced Miguel Cotto, who faced the fearsome Gennady Golovkin when he had knocked out half the world, who rose to the light heavyweight, risking everything to face Dmitry Bivol. The reality is that none of these big promoters have given me an offer to fight Benavidez." Now, there's plenty to pick apart there. First of all, this sounds almost word for word like when Canelo ducked prime Gennady Golovkin. And I know there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, how could he duck Gennady Golovkin because he fought him a year after he vacated his belts, etc." Well, there is such a thing as ducking a fighter who is in their prime, and you wait for them to get past their prime. And Golovkin was at the point in his career where his best years were behind him because he had been at the top for so long. He had been fighting for so long, and his style, go forward, Marvin Hagler, in your face, pressure, etc., that does not age well. And Golovkin was 34 at the time, so Canelo did duck a prime Gennady Golovkin, and when he did that, he released a statement saying that "I have taken on the toughest fights of my career that my team have told me not to take, and Gennady Golovkin is no different, and when I face him, I will beat him," etc., etc. So, yeah, it's typical damage control from Team Canelo, saying that they risked everything to move up to light heavyweight to fight Dmitry Bivol. Well, they didn't risk everything. In fact, they risked nothing except their record, which you risk in every fight, because he was not stripped of any of his titles when he moved up to light heavyweight. So he did not risk anything to move up to light heavyweight. In fact, if anything, he was healthier at light heavyweight because Canelo's been cutting down from around 180, like cruiserweight, he was supposed to be a middleweight, but he was fighting at Canelo weight, 155 pounds. There were rumours back then that he was cutting down from 180 pounds. So I just wanted to pick that apart. The reality is that none of these big promoters have given him an offer to fight Benavidez, they say. Well, that is not an excuse to not fight the man, because Canelo always talks about how he's taken on the best fighters in the world. His fans keep on saying he's the face of boxing, etc., etc. Well, the last few fights Canelo has had are fights that nobody was really clamouring for. The John Ryder fight was a mandatory, yes, but Canelo has said for years about fighters like Demetrius Andrade, and he also said this about David Benavidez after the trilogy with Gennady Golovkin. Said, "Who have these guys fought? They fought nobody." Well, John Ryder didn't have a better resume than any of those guys. In fact, his resume was worse. So whatever, he fought John Ryder, then he fought Jermell Charlo, pulled him up 2 weight divisions in a fight which nobody was clamouring for. People wanted David Benavidez. And when he was asked about David Benavidez in the post-fight interview, Canelo was already laying the groundwork to not fight him. He was saying, he went from saying, "Nobody beats this Canelo," to saying, "We'll see what happens." And yeah, it's just been so frustrating because David Benavidez now has worked his way into a position when he's not only mandatory, he's not only a former WBC champion who just couldn't get it together at the time, he has one of the better resumes in the entire division right now. He just beat Demetrius Andrade, first man to do it. He just beat Caleb Plant before that. So you can't use the excuse that he's fighting washed-up opposition like David Lemieux. He's fighting top-level competition. And going back to what they said about how none of the big promoters have given them an offer to fight David Benavidez, well, why didn't they just say PBC hasn't given them an offer? Because the other promoters, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Golden Boy, etc., would not be relevant in here because none of them have either fighter. I know that they've denied this claim from Michael Benson tweeted out that Samson Lekowicz, David Benavidez's promoter, has said that PBC gave them a $55 million offer to fight David Benavidez, and Canelo Alvarez's team is now refuting that. But the fact that they said they weren't given an offer by any of the promoters who aren't relevant, again, it sounds like just damage control to me. So if there's something I'm missing here, let me know. But it seems that Canelo Alvarez is ducking David Benavidez, and this rebuttal from Canelo's team doesn't make sense to me. So let me know what you guys think down below. Again, if I've missed something and Canelo's not ducking David Benavidez, let me know. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more.